We're going to turn now to politics as details of President Obama's proposal for immigration reform have begun leaking out of Washington. It includes a plan that could pave the way to citizenship for many of the nation's 11 million illegal immigrants. ABC's Reena Ninan joins us from the White House with that story. Good morning to you, Reena.
Hi, Bianna. Good morning to you as well. The White House has been working on its own immigration reform bill, but it hasn't publicly revealed its details, opting instead to allow Congress to act first. It's a supposed White House plan for comprehensive immigration reform. Republicans are already calling it dead on arrival, half-baked, and seriously flawed. USA Today claims a leaked draft proposal circulating throughout various departments would allow for illegal immigrants to obtain green cards within 8 years. It also calls for increased Border Patrol funding and expanded E-Verify system so businesses can check employees' legal status. Republicans didn't hesitate to voice their discontent. Florida Republican Marco Rubio released a statement saying, quote, "If actually proposed, the president's bill would be dead on arrival in Congress, leaving us with unsecured borders and a broken legal immigration system for years to come." The White House has not publicly released the language or specific proposals for a bill, but the president has warned Congress he's poised to act if they don't move quickly on immigration reform.
And if Congress is unable to move forward in a timely fashion, I will send up a bill based on my proposal.
Overnight, the White House also issued this statement. The president has made clear the principles upon which he believes any common sense immigration reform effort should be based. We continue to work in support of a bipartisan effort. The president met with Democratic senators here at the White House on Wednesday. They're working on bipartisan legislation, and they hope to have something to push forward in March. The president also telling our sister station, Univision, going beyond that deadline would be a problem. Bianna?
Reena, thank you. I'll pick it up from here. So will something actually get done on this issue? That's the big question. Let's go to Jon Karl, who's in Washington this morning and filling in for George Stephanopoulos on This Week. Hey, John, given the unfriendly back and forth that we just heard from Reena, is there still any potential for compromise on the path to citizenship?
Well, it certainly is not a good sign, Dan. There certainly is still potential for compromise. In fact, before this story broke, things looked really good on immigration. You had a bipartisan group in the Senate coming to agreement on a broad set of principles and sounding very positive of getting something through. But Marco Rubio is the path to an immigration bill for this White House. And to have Marco Rubio coming out the way he did last night in response to this proposal and saying it is half-baked and seriously flawed, dead on arrival in Congress, major setback. The White House was doing this without any input from any Republicans, and they're really upset about it. They've got some damage control to do this morning.
And John, I want to ask you about the other battle in Washington over Chuck Hagel, the president's choice for defense secretary. Republicans in the Senate temporarily blocked his nomination. How rare is that, and what does that say about the likelihood that he'll get the job?
Well, it's extremely rare, and I've got to say this is one of the most bizarre episodes I have covered in Congress, because you had Republicans blocking his nomination, blocking the vote on his nomination, but saying that when they come back from their recess next week, that they will no longer block it. So it looks like he will get through without any problem, but whenever there's a delay, there are questions raised. It's not a sure thing. It's pretty close to a sure thing, which raises the question of what the Republicans are trying to accomplish with simply a delay of a week or two, and that's where it stands right now.
Indication of just how partisan things are in Washington right now. All right, John, thanks so much. Great to see you. And a couple of very big names on John's show: Republican Congressman and former vice presidential candidate Paul Ryan and newly appointed White House Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough, coming up on This Week.